One thing I wanted to show you before we move on is that we can do a verify on um, the entire process. If we come up and rather than have just the ramp, the contour ramp selected, we go up to the entire toolpath group, and then if I click verify, um, speed it up just a bit, I can go ahead and I can see the entire process, starting with the pocket, cleaning up the scallops, or flutes as I think they may be called, and then we do our groove, and all done. Okay, so we're getting there. Now let's take a look at these holes that we need to mill. Now there are more sophisticated ways to do these holes. We're going to do them as 3 pockets. And so what we're going to do at this point is, again, go back to Toolpaths, Pocket. We're going to keep the defaults. Remember, this is edge and loop. It's generally what we want when we do a pocket. So I'm going to select here, and let's see. Something that happened correctly. Let's go back up to Toolpaths and Pocket. Okay, there we are. So I did that prematurely. So I'm going to go to one of my holes here and grab it, and this time it grabs the right chain there. So I don't have to hit other face. Just to show you what other face would do. Doesn't like to change. Okay, so we'll go with that. No arguments. And we've got our chain. You can see there was a little arrow there. I'll show you that in a minute. So tool, we're going to use the 1/8 inch. We're not going to do any roughing. Well, we're going to rough it out, but we're not going to do any depth cuts, I should say. So let's deselect that. Linking parameters, we're going to come down to the bottom here. There we go. And for our home and reference points, we've already got those set up. Okay. And there we go. Let's see how that looks on our back plot. Kind of slow here. Comes in. Looks like it mills it out. Okay. Alright. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing basically for the other 2. To do that, we're going to use something that we haven't used yet, which is the geometry selection here. We've got one chain. I'm going to click that geometry selection, and I've got my chain manager. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add chain, and I'm going to grab these other ones. So there we go. And I'm going to add another chain for the 3rd hole. And there we go. This red X, we haven't talked about this much, but you'll encounter this a lot. This means it's a dirty toolpath. So to clean that up, we can click this button, regenerate all dirty operations. So let's do that. And there we go. So let's run a back plot on that. And actually, I think we probably want to speed it up a little bit. But let's click our back plot. And, well, there it goes. It comes in. Starts to mill. Mills each one at the same depth, and then it goes down and down and out. Okay. So how about a verify on those? Not a whole lot of detail there, but you get the idea. Let's go to the whole thing in its entirety for a verify. Come in, I'll do our pocket. Here's our groove. And here are our holes. Okay. So we've got the whole thing done. Now, what do we do next? Well, we have to give something to our CNC mill, and that of course is a NC file. So I collect G1, and I'm going to call it GDF1 underscore all.nc. This should be a doozy. So there it is. We recognize a few things. G90, G20. Let's just see how many lines we have here. 1966 divided by 2. We've basically got about 950 or more than that lines. Not something we want to be doing in Notepad. Okay, well, the next step would be to take this over to the mill and actually light this candle and go. So I hope this introduction to each of the features on the GDF and how to define the tool paths was useful. This is just scratching the surface of this amazing program, and I'd encourage you to experiment. But for now, I'll call it quits, and we would again take this NC file over to the machine and mill it.